Great pleasures this year is our partnership with WheelPower, and particularly with the CEO of WheelPower, Martin, and we're inviting him on with two young athletes, Geordie and Claire, and you will hear a conversation.
Good afternoon, everyone, fellow Rotarians. Thank you very much for allowing us to be part of your national conference. I'm delighted to be here. I'm Martin McElhatton. I'm Chief Executive of WheelPower, a national charity for wheelchair sport. And it's wonderful to be here with two local athletes. We've got Geordie Wallace from the Knights wheelchair basketball team. And we've also got Claire Taggart, and Claire is a member of the Northern Ireland and GB boccia squad. So we're delighted to have them both here. We're going to have a chat with Geordie and with Claire in a little while. First of all, we've got a little video to show you about the work of WheelPower. So if you could run the VT, as they say.
Thousands of men, women and children become disabled every year due to an accident or illness, and many others are born with a disability, which means they need to use a wheelchair.
Sport has changed my life, especially participating in the National Junior Games, because I found the sports that I love. I've grown a more confident person, which helps me in everyday life, just improved my life a lot. Growing up, I always wanted to play professional football. Obviously, come to a point where I knew that wasn't going to happen, so I had to come and try new sports, and come into junior games here with, at the St Mandeville Stadium enabled me to find sports that today I love and enjoy playing. It's great having so many sports to try, because unless you try it, you don't know if you'll fall in love with it. But I never would see myself competing in discus, but because there's so many different sports here, just got to try them all. My ambitions in athletics are obviously to get to the Paralympics, hopefully win a gold medal. Just want to get as far as I can, and just getting to a Paralympics would make my life just amazing.
WheelPower is the national charity for wheelchair sport, and we are dedicated to providing opportunities which most people take for granted. The chance to enjoy sport and exercise and lead healthy, active lives.
Amber's got cerebral palsy, affecting mainly her legs. She's found mainstream school PE really quite difficult. School try and make her included in everything, but obviously some things it's just really difficult in her normal wheelchair.
Before in school, they would try and get me to do, for example, we did rounders once, and they tried to make me do it on my crutches, and I think it was then they realised that that wasn't practical, so they applied for this. So here I am now.
Well, this new wheelchair is going to, solve all those problems, and she should be able to join in a lot more with her friends.
I feel a bit more involved, just feel really happy.
I think Amber's learnt that there's something for everyone out there just by the pure fact that she's liked some sports more than others, and I just think she's enjoyed trying all of them. I think any mum or parent or guardian of a disabled child that needs some equipment or advice, get in touch with WheelPower and they will help you. like they've done us.
Obviously this chair is going to be used for PE, but we're planning to take it home in like holidays and stuff because I really enjoyed the tennis, so we're going to go to our local tennis court and yeah, we're going to play as a family.
WheelPower's wide range of programmes introduce young and newly disabled people to sport and give everyone the opportunity to find a sport they love.
Thank you. That's WheelPower. How did I get involved? I had an accident. I became paralysed when I was 18 years old, got run over by a lorry and ended up at Stoke Mandeville Hospital in the spinal unit there. I bumped into someone a couple of years later who said, come and join a wheelchair basketball team. So I went along and that really did transform my life. It gave me the chance to play sports, to enjoy my life, to stay fit and healthy, but also to make some tremendous friends. And once my international sporting career came to an end, I thought, what am I going to do? So I got involved with the charity that had helped me, and 27 years later, I'm helping to provide opportunities with the support of people like Rotary for young people and newly disabled people to get into sport. And that's why we're so thrilled to have Geordie and Claire with us today, because they're two young people who live here in Northern Ireland who they're going to share some of their sporting experiences with you, and hopefully we'll learn a lot more about how important sport is for people with disabilities. So Geordie, I'm going to start with you. You've got spina bifida.
Yep.
How does that impact you in your everyday life?
Thankfully, to a great upbringing from my parents, doesn't stop me doing very much, you know, but certainly has its limitations.
And you use a wheelchair all the time?
Yes, permanently.
But you're independent and get around the place and get to basketball practice and matches?
I like to think I'm independent enough.
And how important was it that your mum was able to find an activity for you when you were just 8 years old?
Yeah, certainly. It was a great sort of year for me to start playing basketball when I was that young. Got me going, get me a wee bit of get up and go in the mornings, give me a reason to go to training on Tuesday nights and have a bit of fun with people, meet new people. Whereas I sort of didn't have the opportunity to do that a lot with anything else.
And you were telling me earlier that your chair cost you around £3,000 to, and the club needs lots of support. So that, how does the nights, you know, how are you structured? How do you get to play your matches? Who do you play against?
Well, I currently play in the All-Ireland League, so we play against teams from all over the island of Ireland. We've been as far as Cork and Galway, as close as Dublin. We play our home games in Antrim or Ballymena, sometimes Donegal. So I'd like to try and play around the country to try and give everybody a chance to maybe come and view it as well. It's very important in that aspect, so that if there's younger kids that maybe are looking for the sport themselves, they can come and say, oh, okay, I want to give that a go.
And what difference has wheelchair basketball made in your life?
Well, for me, it's just been my reason to be healthy and fit and active. You know, it's also a great way to socialise as well.
And you can also, you know, get a good sweat on and a bit of exercise and clash into a few people.
Take a bit of anger out on somebody that you've known for a while, and they can do the same to you. Try and snip a few pounds off yourself as well. It's great.
Fantastic. Now, Claire, you're here with your dad, Stevie. We said we'd give him a plug because he's your main man, isn't he? He supports you. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the relationship between you and your dad and how you know, ended up with your condition.
Well, my dad, because I'm on the GB boccia squad, my dad does all the travelling with me. He's like my primary carer. My mum stays at home and she looks after my 10 pet tortoises. So.
And you were telling me earlier that you sort of developed your condition about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And before that, we saw the Irish dancers. We both said we both grew up doing Irish dancing.
Yeah. About 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with a condition called generalized idiopathic fixed functional dystonia. It's very rare, and at the minute there's no cure. So, other than that, I don't let it stop me. Yeah.
Except for the cooking.
Yeah.
No, we had a joke earlier. I said to Claire, you know, do you do most of the cooking at home? And she said, what, with these hands? And I said, you're having a laugh. I said, I've seen people with no hands cooking. So, but Claire, you play boccia.
Yeah.
Tell people how you play boccia.
Well, boccia is a sport. It's like bowls, really. But all the people who compete in it either have a degree of cerebral palsy, or they would use a ramp to propel the ball, or they have another disease which fits into the fourth classification. I fit into the cerebral palsy category because of where the disease is located in my brain. So, yeah.
And you got started about 3 years ago,
Yeah.
and you've had a bit of a meteoric rise to fame. So how important was it to find something like a sport to do after you had your condition?
Well, I went undiagnosed with my condition for 3 years. So that was very difficult, not anyone knowing what it was. And when I started playing the sport, it was a time when I could take my mind off all the hospital appointments, all the doctor's appointments, and just play sport like anyone else can.
And you were telling me that you travel over to Bisham Abbey for training in England, and also in Scotland and for the GB squads. So how intense is it to go to those training and try and work towards competitions?
Well, if we're on a full week camp, we are up in the morning at breakfast for 7, and we'll be in bed reasonably early, probably about 9, but in between that you'll have 2 or 3 hours of tactical sessions, 2 or 3 hours of technical sessions, mindset meetings, physio, hydro, the list goes on really.
And boccia is a really focused sport. You have to concentrate for a long match, and it's quite intense. How do you retain your concentration throughout the matches?
Well, I try. It's difficult because it can be nearly an hour. You can be sitting there on the court, and it's just all about keeping the focus on the game. Because if you lose your focus, then you're not going to win.
And do you prefer to be red or blue?
Don't really mind.
Because you have red and blue boccia balls, but I always like to be blue, obviously, for being a boy. No? Is that a bit rubbish? That's a bit rubbish, isn't it? Claire, you were telling me earlier that you did try another sport. Tell us about your wheelchair rugby experience.
Wheelchair rugby is one of the best sports I've ever tried, apart from boccia. If anyone has ever heard of it, they'll know that it's a bit violent.
Well, it started off as murder ball, didn't it? So
that was its original name, yeah. I used to play for the Ulster Barbarians, but when the boccia got serious, then it's in my contract with GB Boccia that I'm not allowed to play any contact sport. So,
and you've recently just come back last week from Barcelona,
yeah,
where you were taking part in the, what was the name of the competition again?
It was the European Continental Cup.
And you sort of did all right, didn't you?
We went okay.
You went okay. You brought something along with you. What have we got here? Oh, it's only a gold team medal. Geordie and Claire, tell me what support you need to do your sport. So you were telling me about your sports wheelchair. What else do the Knights need in terms of local support, you know, to help you to move the club forward?
To move it forward, to maintain the club just existing, you know, you require so many different sponsorships and funds, just general money flow.
And that helps pay for facilities, for,
you know,
for equipment.
Paying for renting out courts to train on and play on, buying basketballs, you know, the bare basics that are required to take part and play.
And what are your personal ambitions for the future?
For me, personally, I'd like to try and work my way into the national squad. Trying to sort myself out in the minute in terms of getting my eating right and making sure I'm training frequently, and trying to progress myself just as best I can as an athlete. So.
And for you, Claire, what help do you need? You were telling me how much a set of bocce balls costs. You got a brand new set with you today. How much does that cost?
Well, when I was in Barcelona, I got a set for €400, which is 13 balls, including a jack, so I thought it was all right.
And your chair
Yeah.
is a very specialist chair, isn't it?
Yeah. This chair is my everyday chair, but because I'm at such a high level of sport now, I'm going to require eventually a bocce playing chair, but it has to be an electric because I can't push myself like these guys. So this chair alone was, as it's my everyday chair, it was 10 grand.
Which is only £1 from 10,000 Rotarians. And you were both telling me that oh, sorry, I meant to say your ambitions. So you probably, what's in the future for you?
Well, there's a little event coming up sort of next year in the summer. It happened about 3 years ago now in London. Well, I'd really like to go there, so well, that's the plan. So.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure we wish both Geordie and Claire every success in the future, and we really appreciate you coming along and being with us and sharing some of your experiences today. Please show your appreciation. WheelPower works with lots of different people and organisations, including the one here, Disability Sport in Northern Ireland, and we aim to provide life-changing opportunities for young and newly disabled people to get into sport. I'm sure you'll agree sport could transform people's lives. With your support, with the ongoing support that we've had from Rotary, we can make a difference to a lot of lives. Thank you very much for listening, and if you want to see some sports tomorrow in the ballroom of the Hilton, Claire's going to be there showing off her bocce skills, and we've got some of her barbarian buddies coming along to do a bit of wheelchair rugby, and there's also a chance for you to have a go at our wheelchair relay, so you can sit in a chair, see how tough it is to move, and maybe appreciate some of the skills that Geordie and his Knights colleagues have got. Other than that, Emma, my colleague from WheelPower, is going to be in the House of Friendship. Please go and see her, find out information about the work that we do, and we're around the rest of the day and tomorrow. Please ask us any questions you like, and I just wanted to extend a huge thank you to all the Rotary clubs, Rotary districts that have supported WheelPower over the years. We've provided a huge number of sports wheelchairs through our Wheel Appeal. We've also helped a number of individuals to get into sport, and that's really made a difference to their lives. So a huge thank you to Rotary, but also to Peter for your ongoing support, and to your fellow Rotarians. Thank you very much indeed.
Very much. You may have seen Ben-Hur and the chariot racing. Well, wheelchair rugby is a bit like that, but I'm assured it's a bit more sedate tomorrow afternoon. Just to re-emphasise what Martin said, in the afternoon we're putting on a programme, Youth in Action. Lynn Deeman has been working very much with others in order to put this on, and Debbie as well. So please, if you're not in the business session, you can't get away if you are, but if you're not in the business session, please do go to the Lurgan Room and take part. And there are other activities as well, but it's a delight to see Martin and particularly Geordie and Claire, and look forward to the challenge tomorrow afternoon. Lovely. Thank you very much. Rotary does so much for people with a disability, and it's lovely that we are really involved with WheelPower, and it's a pleasure to be so.